Today we examine Marlon Brando. Marley B. Marles Bedarles. The very same Marlon that mooned a real crime family while shooting The Godfather. Who loved farts so much he wanted to start a dial-a-fart phone line. Who escaped from New York on 9/11 with Michael Jackson and Liz Taylor and demanded to stop at every KFC they passed. The same Marlon who, when told he was considered the greatest actor ever, replied, "What's the difference?" See, that's part of the sickness of America, that you have to think in terms of who wins and who loses, who is good and who is bad, who is best and who is worst. We always think in extreme terms. Everybody has their own value in a different way, and I don't like to think who is the best at this. What's the point of that? Thank you for the brutal criticism of everything to do with this podcast. We watched A Streetcar Named Desire and The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yay! I would ask how much of that is true.
100%.
But
that was my question too.
I know that it's all true. I know that it has to be true.
Yeah.
Because he lived the craziest and maybe best life ever.
Right? Yeah.
I also want to say that for the rest of this podcast, we probably have to refer to him as Marles Bedarles.
Bedarles.
And I want to hear more about this dial-a-fart phone line.
I don't think it ever started up. He just, apparently Johnny Depp gave him like a little like fart token. You know those little like little dial like button keychains that make little fart sounds?
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah. So I guess Johnny Depp gave him one on a set and he fell in love with it. He thought that like a telephone line where you call to get different fart sounds would be really popular.
I mean, that could be actually like, that would be pretty funny. Just like being like, oh, hey, I have someone on the phone for you. Just pass in the phone and then it's like a fart sound comes out. I could see that being funny a half dozen times.
Yeah, totally.
You know, which is a number of, that's a lot of times.
And that does make me like Marlon Brando a lot more. Certainly more than I did after I finished Dr. Moreau.
Yeah. And what do you mean he's escaped 9/11 with Michael Jackson and Liz Taylor?
Yeah, I wanted to know more about that too. What do you mean by
why
escape?
isn't that a movie?
Yeah, they were both in New York on 9/11 because they were going to perform at Michael Jackson, some big like gala Michael Jackson was throwing at Madison Square Garden. And when it happened, they were all like, shit, we're big names. They might come for us, the terrorists, you know. And so they all piled into a car and drove all the way to Ohio, apparently. And he demanded to stop at every fast food restaurant they passed.
But they must have passed like hundreds of fast food restaurants.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, but he needs Taco Bell. He needs Pizza Hut. He needs, Wendy's.
I mean, fuck, don't we all?
Which is why we focused on Marlon Brando this week. So welcome, everyone, to Citizen Kane Versus, where we compare a widely considered great movie with a movie that is considered to be more on the schlocky side, and we ask ourselves, honestly, which is better? So my name is Jack Rennie, or Jax... I can't do it with my name. Shit. Jax Reynolds?
Jarks Bedarks.
Jarks Bedarks. Oh, damn, you got it. So I'm Jarks Bedarks, and I'm joined by my friends.
Cyril and Jukloon.
And...
Darns Barnswa.
Nailed it.
And the movies this week are, as Sean announced in the intro, A Streetcar Named Desire versus Dr. Moreau, with the connective tissue being the late, great... quote unquote great, quote unquote late, Marlon Brando, Marles Bedarles.
It is the island of Dr. Moreau.
The island of Dr.
The
Moreau.
island of Dr. Moreau.
What did I say?
Streetcar of Dr. Moreau and
Streetcar.
You said Streetcar of Marles Bedarles is what you said.
And so yeah, this is a bit of I think a turning point in some of the movies that have been pitched by Dan in the past in this podcast.
What do you mean?
I mean, usually I feel like, again, it's been fun how we each, like, I think it's been, we've talked about this on the podcast, kind of outside of the podcast, that like, look, it's pretty informal, this whole thing. And it's nice to have kind of like a non-uniform idea of what these pairings could be, so that when we take turns pairing them, that there's always a bit of a shifting. And I feel like I enjoy like, Dan, you like movies that are like, you want to pitch movies that we'll have fun watching, and I feel like I'm someone who's more like, I think we'll hate both of these movies, like a little bit. Like,
Yeah, I dread your picks every
know.
time. Although you've had some really good ones. Like, you shouldn't say that, because you've had some
but
really
not
good
always.
comparisons. No, not
Thank
always.
you, thank you.
Let's pat each other on the back right now, because we're all really
Except for
good
you,
at
Sean.
what
Yours
we're doing.
always
Yeah,
suck.
yours have-
Hey,
It
Take
sounds
a
like you're
long
trying
time
to
to
always
catch up.
punish us.
you can eat a lot of shit right now. Is all I'm saying.
But so this was a funny one where Dan, you definitely deviated from that to be like, we're gonna go with this very old classic, both movies based on plays.
No, Dr. Moreau is based on a novel.
Oh, a novel.
It's based on a novel.
But it is
H.G.
also
Wells.
a play, I guess.
No,
Is
it's
Yeah,
a
it is.
remake of a 77 movie.
Which
I see.
itself is a remake of a 1931 movie
There's a 1931 version of this story.
called "The Island of Lost Souls," I think, but it is this story. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense, because there's a documentary about like the horror show process of making that movie, and it's
Yeah.
called Lost Soul.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
that
yeah,
makes sense.
the one about this island of Dr. Moreau? Because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch
It's a
it.
fucking
it
nightmare.
looks
Yeah, I do too.
nuts. Yeah.
But the OG one was like they had to like censor it and ban it in certain places because it had like scantily clad women doing scientific experiments on human corpses and stuff. So they couldn't let people see that.
Oh, we should have watched
Get
that
any
one.
bad
That sounds-
ideas and do it themselves.
Yeah.
I
That
saw
one
it in a
sounds
movie,
way
so I
better.
committed human experiments.
Yeah.
I'm highly susceptible. So can we get a quick summary then of the island of Dr. Moreau? Because
Yeah, sure. So I don't know how it compares to the novel, but in this version, it focuses on, like, loosely focuses on a guy named Douglas who, on his way to Jakarta, his plane goes down, and he ends up alone on a life raft, and is seemingly rescued by a group of people who then bring him to Moreau's Island, which he learns is a place where Dr. Moreau, a geneticist, is conducting inhumane experiments, trying to form the perfect human being by fusing human DNA with animal DNA, and the island is full of just these freakish mutations that Moreau has under control by microchipping them and with like little shockers.
Yeah,
and then
zaps them.
a group of the beasts rebel and kill all the humans on the island, save for one, and a lot of the beasts as well. And then eventually they are defeated by the good beasts, and peace is restored on Moreau's Island, and Douglas hops on a makeshift raft and heads home
Boom.
Yep, with a basket of coconuts.
with a basket of coconuts.
And also
Starring
Val
Ron
Kilmer is there.
Perlman also.
And Ron Perlman, who
Yeah,
I didn't
Ron Perlman.
recognize as Ron Perlman until the very end.
I thought he was the bad guy, but
I thought he was the hyena,
priest. Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. You can't tell who anyone is, except barely Marlon Brando and Val Kilmer.
Brando was unrecognizable in this movie. I could not, and I knew it was him, and I could not tell it was him. Val Kilmer was the only one. Even, I didn't know who the guy playing Douglas was, but from his voiceover
David
narration,
Thewlis.
yeah, I recognized him kind of, like, as the movie went on,
Right.
but the opening narration, I could have sworn it was Professor Snape.
I thought it was Alan Rickman again.
Both
Alan
Harry
Rickman.
Potter alum. So
Oh, is he in Harry Potter as well?
Yeah,
Lupin.
he's Lupin, the werewolf professor.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, man, he's great.
he's the bad guy in Wonder
Oh.
Woman. He's
Yep.
a bunch of
He
stuff.
is the bad guy in Wonder Woman. I mean,
Yeah.
he was like the
He's
best part
fantastic.
of this movie. He
He's
was the
the
only
sh-
person who I thought
Oh.
was actually acting in this film.
Oh,
He's the shame wizard in
Yeah.
not Big Short. What's it called? the TV series. John Mulaney, Nick Kroll, growing up.
Oh,
Puberty.
yeah.
Big Mouth.
Big Mouth. Yeah, he's the shame wizard. Yeah.
I was gonna call it Pubes Up. I really was lost.
Alternate title, Pubes Up.
Pubes Up. So yeah, that's Island of Dr. Rowe in a nutshell. It's weird. It's weirder than it sounds, to be honest. There are crazy production stories. But let's also get a little summary of A Streetcar Named Desire. Something a bit more classic, wholesome. You know, go ahead, John.
Yeah, very Christian in its outlook. Streetcar Named Desire is a 1951 film based on a 1947 play, both written by Tennessee Williams. If we focus on Blanche Dubois as she comes to New Orleans to live with her sister Stella and her sister's husband Stanley, and she is trying to escape some trouble back home, wherein she lost the family estate and lost her job. Well, she says she took a sabbatical from her job to come down. She wisps her way through the film with her southern airs and her noble aggrandizements of her own character. Stanley is an abusive boyfriend or husband who is just so hot that Stella can't keep her mitts off of him. She's pregnant. And it's really a kind of it takes the shape of a territorial battle between Blanche and Stanley as they there's bits of it where they try to get Stella to their sides, and in the end the brute relentless force of Stanley overcomes the fragility of Blanche, and she is placed into the care of a mental institution.
Yep.
The end. And then Stella leaves Stanley forever? Question mark?
Or for like 15 minutes if the play is or the
till she gets horny.
Told us anything. Yeah.
That
is a way harder movie to summarize in like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
Than Dr. Moreau.
Yeah, there's a lot of because it all focuses on like the themes of like fragility and the past, and it's just these long scenes of poetically meandering through these things.
Mm-hmm.
And Marlon Brando being like, safe from out of town, huh?
Yeah. To which Vivian goes, it was me who was out of town.
And which drove me nuts.
Yeah.
For the entire movie until like the final turn, until her final scene with Stanley, where she kind of just turns that off and suddenly she's the real Blanche.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I kind of appreciate what you're doing, what you've been doing more now, that it's like clearly an act.
Yeah, it just makes it hard to relate to. Like, it's one of those things where she's so over the top for, I would argue, the entire movie.
Absolutely.
Like, it's just like you can't have two more opposing styles of acting of what she is doing. I forget that actress's name, but she's also
Vivian Leigh.
Vivian Leigh. She's definitely a star in her own right. You know, what she's doing putting it next to what Brando was trying to doing at that time with like the early method shit. It is like jarring at times because he's barely doing anything, but honestly, still more than what a lot of actors do now, which is the weird thing compared to like many modern cinema actors. He seems like a vibrant, active performer, where then it was like he's barely acting at all, and she is just like screaming and her southern accent is like, oh my, I never came from such a place like this.
Yeah.
Oh, how could I do it?
Well, so he originated Stanley on Broadway. And she originated Blanche in the West End. So it really is the like coming together of the two schools of acting. And on film, one of those schools clearly works better.
Yep.
You mean hers, right?
Yes, definitely hers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I'm quite familiar with this story now. Like, you know, we know each other from theater school, and we did a whole scene study on Tennessee Williams, and which of course included A Streetcar Named Desire. And so it's just like something, and I've seen this movie at least most of the way through in like the last 5 years, I think. And I'm admittedly tired of it. It's just humorless. And I don't know if that's the case. I think. Sorry.
Oh, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys.
No.
okay.
It's okay. That's the thing.
Oh.
I think we got to do that sometimes, to examine these classics and kind of just like. I don't know if it should have been made into a movie. It's just I think it
quadrupled its budget.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wonder if you would feel the same way had you not had so much experience with the play before seeing the film. If your first experience with that movie in the 50s, or your first experience with that story in the 50s was that movie, I think that you'd feel differently about it.
Honestly, what my takeaway from it was, and this is rooted purely in our exposure to this play, is how dare a theater school make its second-year students, many of whom are like 18 years old and have very little understanding of human nature outside of what the brief time that they've experienced on this planet. How dare they force us to do a 6-hour Tennessee Williams scene study when these characters need the entirety of their storyline to arrive at the emotional points that you need to get to. And so the school just sits there and judges students based on not having everything within their reach to perform these roles to their peak, and then judges people for it. It's ridiculous. Made me so mad.
Yeah, I mean, but you also get better by doing things that you're not capable of doing yet, right? Like that's
sure.
Look, sure, it's a whole other conversation. Yeah. I don't know, just. Like I had a hard time actually just like physically sitting and like fully engaging in the watching of this movie, if I'm being honest. Like, and there were still things that I enjoyed about it. Like there's a lot of beautiful language. You can't deny that there's some really wonderful language in this movie. And some great acting moments. You can see, like, honestly, there's stuff that Brando does that is so wonderful in this movie that it's just like, like it gives you that satisfying feeling of like, God, yes, like that's yes. There's like a couple moments where she's off on doing something and he just like walks and stands over her and then he just walks away and you're just like, yes, like he doesn't say anything, but it's like he's going to, but was he going to, or was that it? And it's like it's full of mystery and impulse and like all this like yummy self-indulgent actor bullshit, but it really is something wonderful to watch in those moments as he just like eats meat and off plates and growls at people. But
so much. I was trying to place myself in the seat of a movie theater in 1951, seeing what for the first bit of the film is a pretty standard male lead. Very gruff, very forthright, self-confident, has a lot of strength, very, very handsome, and then after he's hit Stella and she runs upstairs and he calms down just for a moment and realizes the hurt that he's caused and how he just completely breaks down and starts sobbing. You probably have never seen a leading man just turn into mush like that before.
Yeah, I thought about that too. That I was like, I don't think this was shown a lot. Like the emotional range of men still often, in how it's depicted is like angry, stoic, cracking a joke.
Yeah.
Like that's the range. And so to see that, especially like you're saying in that era must have been like, or something.
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like that for moviegoers of the time, this was probably breaking a lot of new ground. Like this was probably revolutionary, right?
Right. Yeah.
You have Brando's acting style, which they haven't been exposed to. You have these like this movie full of these rich, really flawed characters. Like none of them are heroes. And then you have this alpha male who is just brought to his knees. Like it's all new, as you said, yummy stuff for people who have never experienced it.
I did say yummy.
You did say yummy. And that was the right word.
Yummy things. Yeah.
There are some yummy things, and Brando has a yummy physique in this movie, and he does some yummy
holy shit
acting.
Marles Bedarles really brings some yummy things to the table. I think is what I was saying.
It's
Yeah.
nuts. I mean, I chose these films because I had like zero experience with Brando's work until this point. I've seen both these movies at different times in my life, but remember like nothing from them. I saw Moreau when I was a kid, and I saw Streetcar. I think when we were studying Streetcar in school, but I was so stoned that it just kind of washed over me. Like I didn't retain any of it.
Right.
But I remember watching Streetcar the first time and being like, I don't understand what the whole big deal with this Brando guy is. Everyone's like singing his praises and whatever, but he just seems like a flat actor. But of course, I was fucking stoned off my face. And then I watched it this time around, and his very first scene, I was like, oh yeah, okay, I get it. Yep. That scene where he first meets Blanche and he's just like casually just kind of eyeing her up and down as he's asking her about where she's from and whatever. It was so, there was just so much there. I was like, "Yep, okay, I'm in. Whatever you do from this point on, you've got me. You've got me, Brands."
Right, and that's the exact mindset that Stella's in for the whole film. Is whatever you want to do, I'm here for the ride, because you are just like so engaging.
Yeah, and I think and I totally agree with that. And those are the moments that I was really watching this movie for eventually. And I think it's tricky though, because really though, Blanche is the main character. You know what I mean? It really is focused on her. And as we kind of talked about already, like her acting style is a bit like kooky bonkers. It's a bit over the top. And so it's not as yummy. So, you know, we like this story, this play, this movie, whatever, is, I feel, going to be most effective when you as the viewer are like kind of, I think you're supposed to feel a bit more in the middle between the two of them, like Stella is. You're supposed to feel like, oh, you make good points and you make good points. But I literally never found myself agreeing with Stella on anything, or sorry, with Blanche on anything. And being like, yeah, Stanley makes a good point, and he's not like screaming and falling to the ground and like acting weird generally.
But then he like grabs some woman by the elbows and throws her across the room, and you're like, maybe I'm not on your side.
Yeah. And that's those are the times that you're like.
Tennessee Williams never wrote a good person, because I don't think he ever met a good person.
Tough. That's rough.
Yeah, where do you go from there?
Debbie Downer. Whoops.
And
but I do.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, you.
I was just gonna say, I do agree with you that, I mean, there is some beautiful shots in this film. I think the soundscape is great. There's a lot of things that I think at the time would have kept a moviegoer engaged, but by the midpoint, I was having a hard time staying in it. Like it is, by today's standards, a very slow burn, and there's not a lot visually to kind of keep you going.
I also have a hard time sometimes with plays that are turned into movies, because they have to make scenes happen in other settings to justify it being a movie sometimes. So like with this one, we have her getting to the streetcar depot and being like, hey, where's the streetcar named Desire? Ding, ding, ding. And the sailor helps her on, and then she's walking through the street, the French Quarter, and she has to go to the bowling alley. And none of that's in the play, obviously, but just because it's a movie, they had to write that stuff in, and it feels really alien to everything else.
Yeah.
Isn't the scene where she gets she gets into town and finds a streetcar, that's in the play, I think, isn't it? The bowling alley isn't, but
it's a single set play, so maybe it's like the set is dark and it's a little like off to the side in a spotlight thing. I don't remember it though. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think when I saw it at Soul Pepper, they had that scene, but I could also be mistaking it with like Angels in America, because
very similar plays.
Yeah.
Regardless,
though, I hear what you're saying, Dan. Though, same thing. Like, you know, I was pretty engaged for 45 minutes, and then I just like really felt myself like kind of being a bit more in and out. And I will defend us and say it's not just that we're these inattentive millennials unable to commit to anything, but it's
it does have something to do with it, for sure.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Who are you people? What's that? Where are we?
Let's buy Bitcoin. Okay, so but it's like, you know, we watched Grapes of Wrath like a few weeks ago, and I had a wonderful time on a movie. There's just something about but that movie was made for film, it was still an adaptation of a novel, but still, you know what I mean? Like, something about it, the execution of it is just different. And I think one of the main things was some of the crazy acting that really just like like the Vivian Leigh just like pushed me out of the movie again and again and again. And I think that's really the thing that unfortunately kind of kept me from being into, like, 'cause I'm down to watch a slow ride. Like,
Yeah,
I dig it.
when I was watching it, I was wondering if I was suffering again from this thing we brought up a few times, where we are watching the source material for a trope that has become so entrenched in our society. The wayfish belle who is down on her luck and uses her charm and wits to try and get herself from one situation to the next. And it's all because of Vivian Leigh's performance in this film. But we just happen to be here 70 years later, having seen every iteration of that play out.
70 years. Fuck.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Well, because there was that that Woody Allen movie with Kate Blanchett. Is that who did it? Right?
Yeah.
Called Blue something, right? Blue. But that was
Blue
like
Jasmine.
Yeah.
Blue Jasmine, and it's essentially
Jasmine.
it is a Streetcar Named Desire.
Bluey.
Like it's the same core premise, but just done in a modern era.
Mm-hmm.
And that movie is incredible. That's a really good movie. So
Very well done.
like the concept still works.
Well, I mean, again, we're all people who have extensive experience with this story. We've seen the movie before. I mean, you guys have seen it and remember it. I've seen it, but I know the play very well.
Yeah.
So I wonder.
Yeah, you
like,
both did scenes from it.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
really.
you were Flores para los
I
Muertos.
was the blind flower seller woman.
The
Who
blind
is, like,
Mexican
who plays,
flower
like,
woman.
a pivotal role in this story.
And it was
Yeah.
completely underwhelming in this movie. And Jack, you made a much better Mexican flower woman. Okay?
If that character was supposed to be comedic, then I nailed it.
You did.
But
Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead,
so
Dan.
it's like when you're watching a movie for the 7th time, you're not going to enjoy it the way you did the first time, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
also part of it, is that these things that would normally be surprises for the audience are not, because you know every beat of the story.
Yeah.
Which I worried about when I was going to suggest these films. I just really wanted a Brando week, and I really wanted a chance to do Dr. Moreau, because I just remembered it being such a fucking bonkers film. And like, it didn't entirely disappoint.
No.
Oh,
We should do On the Waterfront with something at some point too, because I've never seen that one, and that was his like breakout role, I think.
Was that before Streetcar? No.
I don't know.
I mean, I would happily watch more classic Brando. I'll never watch later Brando again.
well, until Sean pitches
Superman?
it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember him in Superman. What a disaster
Yeah.
that is.
He's
Superman.
fine.
I mean,
But at least-
He's fine.
At
As
least
Kal-El
Apocalypse Now.
or whatever.
Oh, Apocalypse Now. Yeah, I mean, we will see him in Apocalypse Now at some point. But I mean,
At some
I will
point.
say, at least later in his career, we could understand what he was saying in movies, and that's a plus.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I understood more of him as Stanley than I did of him as Dr. Moreau.
Kind
Shut
of
up.
how I felt too.
How? Well,
But
that's because
did he have fake teeth then? He was
In-
doing
No,
like
no, that's just what he
No.
does.
He was
That's
like,
just his voice, man.
It does.
Oh, yeah.
I drive forward with his front teeth constantly. I don't know.
Oh, I was amazed at how articulate he was in Dr. Moreau, because I was watching, because I've never seen an interview with him. I don't know what he sounds like really. So I watched Streetcar and I was like, oh my god, is he getting by in acting with like the worst mumble mouth I've ever heard? But no, he has it was just a choice. He has a very dexterous tongue and jaw.
But he does have
a
some
yummy
kind of
tongue.
He's just been getting by on
does
his
have-
good looks for all these years.
That's true.
As a very handsome
He's definitely got some
potato.
kind of like overbite cleft thing going that
Yeah.
softens a lot of his sibilant sounds, I think.
Yeah. But so overall, like I don't have many notes for Streetcar. You know what I mean? Like I have little like I just noticed how like melodramatic it was. I thought there was you mentioned the music and stuff in it actually that was something that piqued my interest more, because I didn't like those weren't elements of the story that I could remember. Although I remember the waltz that Sean played repeatedly.
Varsuviana or whatever it's called.
Yeah, the
on
Varsuviana.
my melodica. Yeah.
Melodica, yeah. So, but like I thought it was a bit much when I think it's the first time we see, or when not the first time, but it's when Stanley has come home the first time and Blanche is seeing him, and this like sultry saxophone or something kicked in, and I was like, this is a bit much. And
It's odd.
It's
No,
odd.
I loved it. I thought the use of soundscape was great. I mean, a lot of it was just stuff that again I remembered being explicitly written into the play.
Right.
Except for the sultry jazz music, but like the crescendoing train sounds as she's kind of spiraling, the polka song, the gunshot,
I thought the echoing lines were hilarious. I can't not find that funny.
Boy.
Like,
oh man.
so you were married once? You were married once? You were
As she
married
has
once?
a little like,
and she's like
PTSD episode. Yeah.
Yeah, that stuff just makes me laugh. I just kind of would giggle at it. But there was really cool stuff for sure. I think I have it written down as in the scene with Mitch near the ending where it was just like these sliding bass lines where it go like boom, doom, and it's like that repeating, and it was kind of just like this growing intensity as he was like, "I never seen your face in the light," or whatever.
and then
was
he
essentially
too
a
loses his
copy.
mind.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
It was essentially a copy of the Broadway show that they just like put inside a film studio and made some changes to accommodate that. So I'm wondering how much of those like
Shortened it by
instrumental
an hour and a
bits.
half.
I wonder how much of those instrumental bits, that like baseline thing you're talking about, is just from the play. That they
Probably
did.
a lot of it.
Yeah, probably they probably used it. I wouldn't be surprised. Is that how the play ends? Also, does she end being dragged away?
Yeah, she gets taken away.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I don't remember what bits of this movie they took out, or what bits of the play they took out for the movie.
Every
Was it
other
just like
character,
Well,
like all the there's a whole poker playing scene and stuff like that, and other stuff.
There is a poker playing scene.
There's
in
in this,
one.
too.
Yeah, but they talk a little bit. Like they talk.
oh yeah, they do talk in the poker scene. The guys talk a lot more. They also shortened the sexual assault scene.
Well, yeah, I was going to say
show
that's
it.
that's the one thing that stuck out to me
No,
is
they
that they
couldn't,
seemed
yeah.
to
They couldn't, right?
they wanted to play it off as more of just like a physical abuse than a rape. Like I didn't seem like they were trying to imply that it was a rape either.
Or
I
like
couldn't
a,
really
or
tell.
like a or like a mystery. Like the audience has to decide whether it happened or not because Stanley is like, I
Yeah.
didn't touch it, and you're like, is he telling the truth or is she or what happened? I think they're trying to play this like, ooh,
Coy game.
yeah.
And they took out reference to her husband killing himself because he was gay, and
Which made that whole situation super confusing because I remembered it was because he
Yeah.
was gay, but they didn't say it in the movies. So I was like, okay, for
No,
someone
it
who
was-
doesn't know this story, why did he kill himself? Because she said
I think she
was
says she was like insulting his fragile
Like
nature
integrity,
or something
yeah,
like
right.
that.
Yeah,
Right.
just like he was worthless or something like that, and so he ran out and shot himself.
Mhm.
Again, super light movie, lots of lulls, lots of knee slappers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I one time actually laughed was something that Miranda said. I was just kind of talking about. She was curious about Brando and also hasn't seen his work. And it's like, yeah, this is, he's just considered famous largely for this role and early proponent. He was one of the early like method actors. And she just went, oh, like a method actor. So like he beat his wife and stuff. And I was like, oh.
Are there stories of him beating his wife?
I mean, I don't know.
He
I
was
don't know if
never
it was a
married.
jab at just like method actors being a bit like loco, or if it was the fact that like he's beating his wife in the play. So she was like, so is he beating his wife at home? And I was like,
Well, Uta Hagen does have a story about when she played Blanche opposite Marlon Brando, and he did one of his classic elbow squeezes on her, and he would get so into the moment that he was leaving like gigantic bruises
Yeah.
on her arm night after night. Not dissimilar to what I did to Chelsea by accident.
nailed it.
Yeah, nailed it. And then eventually Uta Hagen just had to like one night in the show in the middle of one of his lines just like scream at the top of her lungs in like pain to get him to stop because he was just like routinely abusing her on stage.
Yes.
This is not good act. This is not good act.
Brando seems like young Brando up to like the 70s, was definitely one of those actors that kind of took the method to its extreme. Not quite Jared Leto sending used condoms to his co-stars because he's that crazy, but more just like overstepping boundaries like that while in rehearsal, which is completely unacceptable. But by the time we get to Moreau, it seems like his method is more like, I'm just going to be me, and if you don't like that, you can hire a different actor.
Which I agree with much more. Like that's more the acting that I want to see, where it's just like
Well, I was reading an article about him on Moreau before we got on this before we started the podcast, and apparently he was like the worst fucking person to work with ever. He showed up. I mean,
except for Val Kilmer.
I mean, him and Val Kilmer were awful to the point where the producers were like, "Okay, we're just gonna shoot. Just pretend you're doing one-man shows, and then we'll kind of like snip it together in post." But apparently, Brando showed up in typical Brando fashion, like 300 pounds overweight, didn't know any of his lines, insisted that he just improvised everything, which you could definitely tell in the movie because there's like these huge breaks between every single one of his lines. He apparently wouldn't come out of his trailer except to just like answer the door for the pizza guy. Like he, like apparently he was the
bunch
worst.
A bunch of the design choices of his costume were his. That's just him wearing
the ice bucket.
The ice bucket on his head was him. They were like the people. Like he just wanted an ice bucket on his head, and all this fucking kooky shit is weird.
And the
shawls
sunscreen
and bandanas and the sunscreen. Like that's all Brando, which part of me loves his crazy ass for. If it was just him and the rest of the production went well, you know, it might have been a really insane, eccentric performance within might have been maybe a grounded movie / like episode of Goosebumps.
Yes, that's
very
a great
much
way
what
to put
this
it.
movie reads as.
I liked Mitch in Streetcar Named Desire, but I think I liked him purely because he is also John C. Reilly, right? That guy?
Oh.
Like he's definitely just John C. Reilly, but in the 50s.
Yeah. It's like, it could be John C. Reilly's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a very Reilly vibe.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I liked Mitch as well, and I really felt for him through the movie. And I even feel like his reaction, like his getting angry at Blanche for the way she's conducted herself in the relationship, I kind of justified. But then he kind of just becomes another Stanley in that final scene. Like I have in my notes, an alternate title of this movie should just be A House Where Every Man Throws Every Woman Around the Room by Her Shoulders.
Totally.
Because, you know what I mean? And as soon as Mitch starts like abusing Blanche, suddenly I'm like, well, now we're in like monster territory and you're not as redeemable.
Yeah, and it's all based on that, like, she has been with another man and therefore is dirty, and I let her earn my trust. I gave her my trust, this dirty woman, therefore I'm a bad person, so I must punish her.
Well, and then he tries to kiss her because he's like, well, I'm horny and you're easy, so so you owe me this. And she's like, well, marry me. And he's like, no, you're filthy, but like, do me.
Yeah. It's awful.
Like, gross, Mitch.
Like it is entire her fall from grace is
Mitch.
completely because of societal and like she makes the choices within those societal structures, but like losing your home and suddenly having to rely on other people to give you shelter and give you food because you have not been raised to be able to get these things on your own, and
being a gay man's beard is also not easy when he's your husband.
Yeah, every character in a Tennessee Williams play is a gay man's beard.
That's very true. It's also worth noting that Blanche is supposed to be like 30 years old in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
she behaves as though she like her life is over and she's this tattered mess and she can't
Just an
be
old
seen
school
in hard
teacher.
light. Yeah. And she's terrified to have people see what she really looks like because she's so aged and withered, and she's supposed to be like 30 years old in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I can't decide if it's devastating or ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Okay. So saith the Lord.
The knower of all things.
So saith the law sayer.
The law say.
Well, speaking of the Lost Sayers and all that, let's continue to get into Moreau because there is
Sure.
just
There's so much.
There's just so much right from the opening credits of
Which I kind of loved. I will say I was on board for the opening credits. That like primal kind of like intense music and
I
then
was
the
on board.
X-Men credits.
The music was good. The letters of the title reappearing all over the place was weird.
No, I was in. I was like, what
And
this
then
is
the rest
I was
of
like,
it-
this movie is gonna be silly, but it's stylized and has it seems to have a vision. I'm fucking in, man. Let's do it.
It reminds me of the Godzilla opening credit sequence where it's all just like cells mutating and
Yeah.
like becoming other cells, and they were trying to go for this to be like, there's going to be wicked science in this film. It got so old so fast.
It was
'cause
like
had
it go
no
on way
variety.
too long.
There was no variety. Yeah.
Miranda was like, "Is this a scary movie?" And I was like, "I don't think it's a scary movie. It's like creepy a bit, I think." But
Totally.
By the end, I had no idea what kind of movie it was supposed to be. If I'm being honest, I wasn't sure what the genre they were going for was. I didn't know whose fucking movie it was supposed to be. By the end, I was just confused and like delirious.
by the end, it is Gonzo. I kind of have a note, which is like the first, like I enjoyed the first like 20 minutes of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I was like, what's
setup?
the big deal? Like, it's it's kind of cliche, but the whole like trapped at sea sequence was fine, and him getting to the island is fine, and like there's like the first witnessing of the animals, which happens way faster than I realized in the story, but like he sees like a goat woman giving birth by like dog people.
That was quite the shock.
And like the sound, like he just hears the sound, and the sound is a great sound that you too are listening, being like, "What the fuck is that sound?" Like it's great. And
No,
then
I
see
looked-
it, and it's weird, and it's grotesque, and like scary, and all the things, and then it very quickly goes bonkers.
Well, because for me, anyways, as soon as he leaves the surgical site, he opens the door and he's confronted by like
Two butlers.
catering, like two
catering
catering.
staff, yeah.
I was like, what
And
the
they're like-
fuck is this?
with white gloves, like hello, like
But
canapé.
I looked away to write a note, and he was locked in a room. And then when I looked back up, he was wandering around the island. So
There
how
is
did he
no-
get out?
There's no continuity for any character from one scene to another. Things just happen because.
He picks a lock, and it looks like something was slid to him under the door, and that's not clear. But then he picks the lock anyway, and it's pretty weird.
Or maybe it was the girl. Are they trying to imply that it was the daughter?
Maybe she seems to
cat
help him
daughter?
a lot. Catwoman, yeah.
Yeah.
Played by Adam Sandler's girlfriend in The Waterboy.
Right.
Yeah.
She's in a lot of stuff.
In the 90s, we just watched The Craft. Shortly
That's
before
what it was. I
Halloween.
thought she was from Charmed,
Oh.
but she was from The Craft.
She's in that. Yeah, great movie. I have to say, so I was watching this film and I thought I'd never seen this film before, and it got to the scene where they've discovered that a rabbit has been killed and eaten, and
Yeah, I kind of recognize that too.
so as soon as that cat creature came on screen, I got this little like chill in my body of like, oh, why is this so deeply uncomfortable for me to see this actor in a costume? And then as he goes on, he like leaps onto the stage and tries to kill Dr. Moreau, and it is put down, and then himself killed. I had another moment of like, oh, okay. And then when his friend finds his corpse in the incinerator and pulls out the bones, I flashed hard back to being like 6 or 7 and my parents watching this film and being devastatingly horrified by what I was seeing, and all of that just like back, and all of that like fear I felt just came right back. I've never experienced something like that. It was wild.
I had a really similar experience. I didn't have the fear rush back, but so many moments in this movie just like snapped me back to my childhood, just sitting on a couch and like remembering being terrified when watching the film as a kid.
Yeah, like I've straight up had it's something about the flesh, the like goopy meat that is still attached to the pain
chip?
chips that are in there, and like ripping it out of your own. I've had nightmares about like pulling things out of my ribs and that. So this is so deeply ingrained in my mind, and I never knew about it until today.
Interesting.
Your Bill Gates tracker.
Yeah. Microchip.
Ooh.
That's weird.
So what did you discover this movie has done in terms of your psychological development, Sean?
I don't know. Maybe I'm either horrified or way too into cats because of it. I don't know. Yeah.
Into cats, eh?
I don't know. We'll have to no. Yeah.
I mean, I will say I'm more into cats after Cat Lady in this movie.
Cat Lady. Yeah.
Okay. Also,
She
Cat
was not
Lady.
great. She was not good.
She was not good. Is she supposed to be like the crowning achievement of Moreau's experiments? Is he what she was talking about is she what he was talking about when he says,
Like
I'm closer than you could possibly imagine? And because she was a cat.
Yes.
That's the whole idea, right? She was a cat, and then he got her all the way to the perfect human form, but she was beginning to regress, so that's why they needed Douglas's DNA.
Oh wow.
I guess
that
so,
went
yeah.
right over my head.
I think that's right, because as Val Kilmer says after David Thewlis says she's very attractive, Val Kilmer goes, she's a pussycat.
Yeah, at that point I wrote, oh, so she's going to turn into a cat.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
I mentally wrote, please kill me.
Hey, the fact that they killed her in a like modestly graphic way, I actually gave the movie total props for. Because
The silhouette hanging?
They were hitting that really uncomfortable David Thewlis wants to fuck this Catwoman thing. They were hitting that way too hard throughout the film. And then they murdered her, and I went, oh, okay, so we're not going to see a weird cross bestial sex scene in this movie. Thank you. Okay.
Although I will say that's what I felt this movie was missing.
Yeah, seriously.
Was one
There was the orgy.
human.
Yeah,
human
there was an
mutant.
orgy.
Yeah.
Which,
Val
Was there
Kilmer
an orgy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Val
was that
Kilmer's
an orgy?
Yeah.
yeah, there were like people. They never like.
There were people
really-
fucking.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
an
thought
orgy.
I thought it was more
room
like
of
a
people fucking is an
rave.
orgy.
Because he showed up and just gave everybody drugs. Because that's essentially what he was in this film, was just a fucking drug peddler.
Yeah,
And
which I found kind of hilarious. If I'm being
It was-
honest, I
it
thought
was kinda
kind
funny.
of funny.
Yes, it was kind of funny. Although I hated Val Kilmer so hard in this film.
Yeah.
Hate him. I was like, what the?
So
I have a note
hard.
that is what the fuck is Val Kilmer doing?
Oh my god, I have that too. I just have Val. What are you doing? I was like,
What
we get it. You're hiding something. Fuck off.
When the rock music comes on and he's being lowered down this like freight elevator in a throne and he's wearing the other guy's clothes, I was like, what is this?
Well, apparently he was a monster to work with on this film as
Monster,
well.
Yeah. He was the reason that the original director got fired.
Oh, was he really?
Yeah. He showed up 2 days late for filming. And the original director
2 days late?
2 days late he showed up. The original director had been working on this film for like 4 years because it was his like baby, and he really wanted to do an adaptation of this story. And he showed up 2 days late. He like wouldn't do the shots. He would just get in fights with every single person that he could get a handle on. So the studio fired the director because he couldn't get Val Kilmer under control, and they brought John Frankenheimer in. And the cast wanted to revolt. The lead, the Catwoman, I forget her name.
Threatened to cut her heart out and ran away.
Yeah. She ran away
What?
until her agent was like, she ran away from the shoot because they fired the director, and it was only her agent being like, the studio will ruin you if you leave this shoot. And she went back and came to, so like that's
Wow.
why so much shit, like why this movie is awful, because everyone hated doing it because of
Also,
the studio and Val Kilmer.
What a terrible industry to be a part of, where the threat is like, oh, this studio will make sure you never fucking work again if you
Right?
if you walk off this horrible set, which actually doesn't even meet like basic human rights.
Yep.
Yeah, this like mob essentially.
Yeah. Also, funny
Mafia.
story that I read, when the new director was going to come on board, the producer, as a means of like dissuading him, showed him a video, and the video was just Marlon Brando sitting in a hammock singing to his little buddy, like the guy. I forget the guy's name, but he was like the shortest man alive at the time.
Nelson
Oh,
De La
yeah.
Rosa.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
cool.
it was just, I forget the name of the song, but it was just It was 90 minutes. The clip was 90 minutes of Marlon Brando just laying in a hammock singing to this dude. And the producer turns to the director and he's like, he's in love with this guy. It's literally all we can convince him to do for this movie.
Yeah, Brando made them give that actor more things to do because he was so like
enamored with him,
fetishy about like how small he was.
But like the whole mini-me thing was again inserted into the movie because of him.
Yep.
Which I mean, Mini-Me is also like a reference to this movie,
right?
Yeah.
Which makes so much sense now.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that actor, the smallest man in the world, I was like, oh my God, like it's because he's like 1.5 feet tall or something. Mm-hmm. Like it's
he's really
uncanny. And like had to look up things about him and be like, is this a real person? And it is a real person, or it was. He died years ago. But the stories around that are crazy too. Like you said, not only did that Brando become obsessed, like literally obsessed with this guy. Both Brando and Kilmer were like apparently threatened by this like German actor who played one of his like 3 more in the house like sons. He was one of the catering staff.
Yeah.
But not the one who's the one who like I learned from the books, you know, like what that guy?
The shy one.
He was like a young Orlando Bloom son is how I saw him.
Right. With like a jackal face. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, if Orlando Bloom was a freak.
Yeah.
Oh, he's a freak, baby.
But he had just done a movie called Europa, which apparently was a big hit at the time, and they were like threatened by him, so they both were like were both trying to like get him out of the movie. And so he was supposed to have more scenes as Brando's right-hand man, but because of both of them, the smallest man in the world became his like second, and there were scenes added of them fucking playing piano on top of pianos and doing all this weird shit and
fucking scene.
Like and Nelson de la Rosa apparently was a monster on set as well. He was like taken up with Brando's personality and was also like acting out at that actor and like hitting him, and like his like sister was on set, and he would have his sister translate to female extras his like pickup lines, and everyone was like, yeah, he was very sexual.
Where was he from?
He's from Dominican Republic.
Okay.
Gotcha. Did he really look like that, or was he wearing prosthetics?
He was wearing prosthetics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was like, if that's a real person, holy, like through and through. But looks like that, but he's small, and he's like a Caribbean black man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's fucking insane. I will also say that during that weird piano duet, all I could think about was the just the two of us bit. Yes, exactly.
You and I.
Yeah, I could not see that.
Usually when you film a scene where neither of the actors are able to play piano, or at least are able to play the song that you want them to play, usually you shoot them from an angle where you can't see their hands, but you can see how they're moving the music. They straight up just show them not playing the piano and expect us to buy that shit.
Well, even the guy, the small actor, he has like a hoof for one hand, and so like he's just like hitting this hoof hand on the piano. It obviously doesn't.
Yeah,
doesn't make
you
any
can't really
sense.
stretch octaves with hooves.
No, it does not have an octave. But the tiny piano with the tiny sheet music, like in the madness of this movie, I don't know how that was made possible. I just can't imagine it. It's too funny. It's too humorous.
My biggest question at the end was, where did Cat Lady get all her makeup on this isolated island?
That was your biggest question?
That was my biggest question. Where did she get the makeup? Like, I don't think Val Kilmer picks it up on his like ship trips.
Maybe she barters it with some of the people that come through on the boats.
Maybe Moreau makes it in his lab as a means of making her that much more perfect.
It is an animal testing site.
Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Moreau.
Ooh, there you go.
Maybe
also,
it's Marles Bedarles.
Did they say that Dr. Moreau won the Nobel Prize for inventing Velcro?
I think that was a lie.
Yeah, I think it's like a untruth.
Oh, okay.
They call them.
Okay.
But he did win the Nobel Prize. Yeah, the yeah. I've never seen or read this story through. I'm familiar with it because it's like pretty out there. Like it's kind of like a semi-known story, I think. So I know that The Island of Dr. Moreau is about a doctor who's been doing like animal human hybrids. Like I know that much. And so I found myself like really disliking all of Val Kilmer's lines right away, which I imagine he was responsible for from the sounds of it. It didn't sound like he wanted to say any of his lines. And so like from the very beginning, one of his very first lines when he's picked up David Thewlis on this Southeast Asian pirate ship or whatever they're on.
Yeah.
That Thewlis is like half conked out and he's like, wait. He's like, because Kilmer starts giving him a drug and Thewlis is like, shit. Wait. Are you a doctor? Are you a doctor? And he's like, well, I'm more like a vet. And I was like, barf in my mouth. Like, please stop with this. Try to be a real movie just for 5 minutes.
Nope. No.
What did y'all think of that opening sequence though on the boat where like it's just Thewlis, the like immediate shark attack?
That struck me as definitely something someone wrote in a novel once and then was poorly brought onto screen.
Right.
I don't know. I was into it. Again, the setup of this movie until you start seeing the monsters, which I still can't decide if I like the look of them or not. But I thought everything leading up to that point. Did you?
I really liked a lot of the actual makeup and prosthetic stuff. It's the same special effects guy from The Thing and Jurassic Park. And,
is it really?
Like this special effects guy's resume reads like the best movies you've ever seen.
And that's why some of it it's one of the things that actually helps it because of I really got to admire them for going for as much practical stuff as they did. It must have been hell for all the extras, as apparently they were losing extras like crazy on this project, and they started hiring hippies that were living in the rainforest nearby.
Of course,
shut up.
That's real. Again. Okay, so again, the stories about this movie are
Australian hippies.
Incredible.
Gross.
Yeah, they were like just living homelessly in the rainforest, and they recruited them in.
Did they pay them?
Sorry,
did they pay the hippies?
I mean, who knows?
In Val Kilmer bucks.
And Val Kilmer dollars, yeah.
Kilmer dollars.
In Marlon Brando bucks. So they hired them. They also like when that actress fled. Her name is like Zafe something. She has a out there name. I can't remember.
I like that.
When she ran away, her driver was fired for like letting her do that or helping her do it or something like that. So they fired her driver, and then the driver was rehired when they needed extras. He came back on as an extra. But most importantly, the original director, when he was fired, he didn't just like outright leave. He actually fled into the rainforest nearby as well, where he met said hippies, and he convinced them to like smuggle him back on set. And he had several days on set as like a bulldog man without any of the producers knowing.
So Daniel, to answer your question, no, they were not paid.
So no, they were not paid.
What the how? And also why? Why would you want to do that?
Because this is his baby. He'd worked on it for 4 years. It was a passion project he loved. He loved the story, and the studio
I have to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, he wanted to go back and fuck with shit.
And he was also crazy. The first story that I read about this is that when there was even a hint of him being taken off the project in pre-production, he went to a warlock to to convince Marlon Brando to get on his side, and he thinks that it worked because he stayed on the project. And probably it did. Probably Brando listened to a warlock. So also he was bananas.
I'll do what you say. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you know the moon, you know the stars.
Yeah. And so when production got drawn out, the extras were going crazy, and they were like a bunch of rainforest hippies. And so like the stories of them just like falling into like debauchery and like drugs and sex, as like the extras were all just like fucking each other and doing drugs. Like it got crazy. I'm
But that's
so
kind of-
excited.
Were they wearing their costumes during these?
I mean, there's a scene with an orgy in this movie that
Mm.
I bet people had sex during.
Well, I was
would
going to
bet
say
money.
that actually bodes pretty well for the film if they just need a bunch of people to be high all the time and fuck once in a while.
Do you
Yep.
think this film? Do you think this film is beloved by the furry community, or kind of too spooky?
I
I think they
imagine
wouldn't
they have.
connect.
No, I imagine that it's actually like there's probably furry religions formed around this film.
Right.
There's like there's temples and like monthly meetings where there's a big statue of Marlon Brando.
There's like we
Fat
watch
Brando.
like we have Rocky Horror Picture Show like communal watchings. They have their Island of Dr. Moreau communal watchings, and then the furry orgy afterwards.
Yes,
But I also think there's a
they all
population
praise
that's like,
Moreau.
we don't want to be misrepresented. We are not that. Okay. We do not think we are animals. Okay.
Yeah.
We just find mascot costumes sexy.
Mhm.
And we enjoy the anonymity. It's different.
Did I ever tell you guys about that story I heard one time? There was a guy in the States who was bringing a class action lawsuit against his employer because he identified as a furry and his boss would not allow him to keep a litter box in his cubicle.
Health and safety. Sorry, you have no grounds. Sorry, bud. No religion requires you to shit on the floor for its practice. So sorry, bud. No legs. To stand on.
Is furrydom a religion?
Well, I would assume that would be his basis, is that something that he worships, something he practices. Is
No,
being
I
discouraged
think it
at
was
work
like
and
I think it was like
infringing on his
identity
rights.
politics. I think it was more like he was not allowed. He was not being seen as the person, as the thing he identified as.
Yeah.
think we
Well, people with
lost
non conforming identities would. Oh, am I gone? Am I gone?
You're like in and
we
out.
can hear
Hello?
you.
Hello.
Yeah,
Keep
you're
it.
fine.
We're keeping
You're
it all.
fine. Oh, always.
We're keeping it all. Well, lawyer Sean says when you shit on the floor, your rights go out the door. So
I can just see that flashing across the screen during your infomercial right now, and you're
when
like
you shit on the floor, your rights go out the door.
That's
I'm
terrible.
Sean Jacklin, and fuck you.
Have you been injured in a furry workplace related incident?
I deal in one very specific kind of law. I'm not a lawyer, but I know a lot about furry-related workplace harassment. So yeah, and so again about these extras, all these people, and they had a lot of them playing these Moronians, these animal
Morons?
people, morons. There it is. And the design was both like, oh, cool. Like some of them, like the cheetah leopard man was kind of interesting, and then
was
he
dope.
would run in CGI, and it was hysterical.
Those CGI rats.
It was CGI rats. Oh my god, I forgot about CGI rats. And then his name was Hyena Swine in the credits. I think he's
Yes.
Hyena Swine.
Yeah, he's half pig, half hyena, half man.
And
Was he half pig, half hyena? Was that the idea?
It's man, bear, pig. Yeah.
It's man big. Yeah. But overall, I found myself being like a little bit frustrated. I was like, and I guess it was like a choice that like they just looked like animal people, like mixes. But I was like, but I want to be able to see at least some traits that I recognize as certain animals.
Right.
Like, but maybe that's just me wanting something that the movie isn't trying to be. But by the end of the movie, some of them were just in beekeeper outfits, and like with and I was like, but surely that doesn't count. Like, just give me a guy. Like, I just want to see a couple characters. Like when they had like clear ram's horns and stuff, I was like, oh, like I see the bit of the animal, and like I always appreciate. And a lot of them were just like, I have a weird brown face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea what the sons were supposed to be
Like-
at all.
And I'm like, are you supposed to be dog-like? Because you don't look like a dog in the least.
No. Nope.
Yeah, you would think there would be a lot more creatures that were like at earlier stages in the evolutionary process too, right? Like the ones from when he was first starting out that never got past like the
they
pig with
died.
a human nose,
Right.
or I guess they
Yeah,
died.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, though. I just would have liked, like, in those designs, not just to be like, oh yeah, you look like genetic things. I just wanted like a bit more satisfaction from that, because it's such a rich, strange thing to have in your movie.
Yeah.
And I thought they had a bit of that, like the design where I see when you mentioned the thing. Sorry, I see that in the birth scene. I see so much
Yeah.
thing inspiration of like this practical weird goat woman with like
Thingspiration.
multiple breasts and like the hoof legs and the whatever. And I was like, it was like chilling and like
It's disturbing.
it's disturbing. And you're like, I connect with David Thewlis's character right now. Like where he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So yeah, but I feel like I just went, obviously, as this movie descends into being an action movie, which is the most lazy, stupid Hollywood idea I've ever heard.
Yeah, it got bad real quick.
What a mistake. Like, but clearly they didn't know what to do. So they just started like, setting stuff on fire. But this movie should not be an action movie.
There was one scene actually from when they first get the like AK-47s and just start firing. I was like, man, the squib guy made his retirement savings off of this film. Just the number of squibs that just go off all over the place as soon as they get guns. Every scene is just gunshots, somehow missing everyone, even though
everyone misses everyone.
Yeah.
Even in that scene, I kind of wanted to talk about it because I think it's actually a sort of interesting scene of the moments leading up to Brando's death. Is actually like, it's actually not bad.
Yeah.
It's followed by whatever his name is, but David Thewlis's character, something Douglas or whatever. Him just like having a point blank shot at all of them, like feasting on this guy, and it's like miss. And I was like,
unforgivable.
"Ooh boy, that's frustrating to watch." You gotta.
I think he's supposed to be stoned though, because it just comes on the heels of that scene where he smokes a joint with Montgomery, which I will also say, at this point in the movie, you have to know is a terrible fucking idea. You don't smoke anything that dude is going to give you.
Yeah.
But I kind of got the impression that Douglas was supposed to be stoned kind of through the whole film. Because once he lands on the island, he's kind of dragging his feet through most of it, and he seems a little like droopy-eyed and out of it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if they were just like drugging him the whole time, or if he was like traumatized, or what that was supposed to be. But
I think he was like drugged, like not properly nourished, wasn't properly rehydrated after being stranded at sea. Like I think it's all of those things that I was at times like I thought David Thewlis was kind of, I was like, what is he doing? Like he's better than this. And I was like, I think he's actually trying to do a like complicated performance in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of at the end of it, I had the same thought, Dan, that he is just like, he's like stoned and messed up. So,
yep. And I think he had to take this on at like a week's notice, this film.
because that role was supposed to be,
it was supposed to be Kilmer, but
It was
Kilmer
supposed to
was he was like
it was supposed to be Bruce Willis.
yeah.
And then Bruce Willis couldn't do it because he
was
couldn't
getting
leave the
a
country
divorce.
while he was getting divorced from Demi Moore. And so Kilmer was brought in, but then Kilmer didn't want that role. He wanted the role that he did, which was supposed to be done by James Woods.
What I read was that when he signed on, he immediately was like, you have to cut down my shooting days by 40%.
That's right.
And they were like, oh,
Kilmer?
okay, well, yeah, he was like, they were like, oh, okay, well, then we'll make you be this character who has a lot less screen time, and we'll find someone else, I guess, for the main role.
The main role. And they got
so
David
did
Thewlis.
they
Real
bump
Val Kilmer
James
type.
Woods off the film?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, thank God.
They just fired him for Val Kilmer?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, have
They
you
fired
seen
everyone
Val
else.
Kilmer?
Now, can you guys imagine what this movie would have been if it was Bruce Willis instead of David Thewlis?
Bruce Willis and
What's his
James
name?
Woods. Thewlis.
David Thewlis.
Thewlis.
I like Flueless better. Yeah, James Woods and Bruce Willis. That would be a very different movie. But that's a recipe for an action movie right there.
Yeah.
It would be, yeah, the action
Well-
thing makes more sense, but
Is James Wood an action star?
He could be a good villain.
Okay, yeah.
he'd be good. He'd be
fair.
good in that kind of a role.
Yeah, I didn't buy Val Kilmer as a
Yeah.
villain. I just
Yeah.
bought him as like a lazy bad actor and a dick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
James
Val
Woods is
Kilmer
a villain in
is
real life, so.
unbearable in this movie.
Yeah,
Like I kind of didn't
Yeah, he's
understand
awful.
why he disappeared from Hollywood, and then I saw this and I was like, good, be gone.
Oh, there's a daily the New York Times podcast, The Daily. They do a like Sunday edition podcast from maybe 6 months ago, and they delve into Val Kilmer. Since now he's a Christian Scientist, he's gone through a lot of like throat cancer stuff, but part of Christian Science is
Like praying it away.
you
yeah.
pray-
You don't accept medical science, right?
You don't accept medical science because you are not actually diseased. You are only diseased because scientific medical practitioners go in and they find the disease, but it's really just God's will until that point. So you're not technically diseased because God's plan is for you to heal yourself. It's very fucking chaotic.
So
And
like,
But what
so,
about
like,
when you
the
die from
diagnosis-
cancer?
The diagnosis causes the illness, essentially.
I think it's the same kind of logic as the United States right now being like, if we didn't test for coronavirus,
That's
then
what I'm
we wouldn't
saying,
have
like, it's-
coronavirus. Yeah. It's batshit. He's batshit and has always been batshit, and he's gone through terrible things with his cancers, admittedly, and he's still batshit.
Does he still have cancer?
He can't really speak very well right now. I think the cancer might be subsided, but like he's lost massive function of his vocal cords because of it.
Oh my god. What do they know what causes? I mean, they don't know what causes cancer really, but do they know like what can influence or impact your
Throat cancer?
getting throat cancer? Smoking?
Drinking and smoking, yeah.
Drinking because I know smoking is lung cancer, but okay.
Also your throat, anything that goes through your yeah. Cheers, buddy.
Yeah. Well, when you said he was a Christian Scientist, I thought that you meant that he had become like a scientist, like a practicing
No. I urge everyone to go
scientist.
I urge everyone to go listen to this. It's like a 40-minute podcast. This reporter just like sits down with Val Kilmer for an afternoon, and it's legitimately like hair-raising how kooky his belief system is. Not to shit on Christian Scientists, but to shit on you a little bit because you're bad shit.
Whatever. I'm not.
Well, Christian Scientists are the same ones who are like, we're not going to get our kids vaccinated, and we're not going to give our kids chemo when they have leukemia and shit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fuck you, Christian
'Cause
Scientists.
you're not actually diseased. It is only modern science that sees you as diseased. It's weird.
But what about the part of the disease that's slowly killing your body? What about that part?
That's
What
just
about the
God's
parts
will,
that's
Daniel.
quickly killing
Okay.
your body?
It's God's will. You just have to pretend it's not there. It's all that The Secret bullshit too, where like if you put your positivity into the world, you're gonna return the positivity is gonna return back and solve all your problems and get all your dreams for you. Anywho,
And look, while we're on this kind of stuff, there is interesting, like really interesting science actually about like the impacts of like negativity, of
Certain-
like of stress and all that kind of stuff. I'm like that shit really is poison for the body. How your body responds to stress. Oh,
oh,
is to sound the alarm.
That's probably good timing because we've definitely
yeah.
deviated from these movies at this point.
well, I mean, like there's just nothing else to say about these films except like, okay, that's Streetcar, and whoa, okay, that's Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I only got a few things that I would put in our lightning round. So that timer just means that we gotta shut up and move on. So we have a quick little lightning round called likes and gripes. Likes and gripes. Sound effects. Explosions. So where we just kind of go through anything that we didn't get to and like really quick as we can, and likes and gripes. So let's stick with Moreau, I guess, because we're already on it. I have just a couple. I actually have a couple likes still, again, that kind of scene, the scene of Moreau's death and stuff, and how he dies seems really shitty. Like the animals seem bad at it, like they've only just started to learn to kill, and it seems terrible. Similar to how like the death of Cat Lady seems pretty shit and real. Real, I don't know if it's real, but it just seems like it doesn't feel like smoothed over. So I actually kind of enjoyed those. There's flammable gas everywhere suddenly at the end of the movie. That's a gripe. It's just stupid. I liked Perlman at the end when I could tell it was him and his little talk. I was like, oh my god, Ron Perlman is almost single-handedly saving the end of this movie. And then big ol' gripes with the moral speech at the end, where it's like, I see animals throughout our world, and like shots of people fighting in streets, and I was like, oh, movie, eat shit.
Yeah.
Big old piles of shit movie. I don't think I've had a bigger gripe for any movie that we've watched than that fucking ending.
Pretty
Holy
on the goddamn
shit.
nose.
Oh my god.
But
So
I
that's
feel
it.
like that is probably something lifted. It feels like something straight out of H.G. Wells. Having
sure.
read The War of the World, that sounds like his kind of prose, which in 1897 when he read it was probably really like spooky to read in a book and be like, oh my god, you're right, wow. But now not so much.
Yeah. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. I have very little. I liked Ron Perlman. I just like anything Ron Perlman does. I didn't like Val Kilmer. I liked the catering staff. I I had a big gripe with the very kind of glossed over explanation of the island in general, where Brando is like, I can't condense 17 years into 17 minutes of explanation, so I'll just say we're fusing animals with human DNA for my own personal experiment. And I was just like, actually, could you try a little harder to condense a little bit more than that, please?
It's got to be a
You seem like you got a
literal.
long way in a few seconds. Could you maybe put it 17 minutes into it?
That's got to be a literal transcription of a discussion between the director, writer, and the producers of him. Like, listen, I can't condense this all into just 17 minutes. So let me say,
Yeah. I liked Brando's sungown and makeup.
his moo.
I like this do-rag. I like this do-rag when he's playing piano.
I had a gripe with the fact that all of his kids had different accents for some reason. It didn't make any sense to me.
Yep.
I liked the Hyena Man. I liked that his performance was kind of like bordering on kind of foppish with like his head gestures, and it was a little foppy. And I had a gripe with
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like villain from him as well, which I like.
also that.
Yeah,
and I had a gripe with the narration device and the fact that it's there for 5 minutes and then gone for the whole movie.
Agreed.
That's it. Fuck you, movie.
Yeah, Dr. Moreau likes David Thewlis. Show me a David Thewlis movie and I'll show you a movie I will watch. The earpiece, I don't know if you noticed, but in a lot of scenes, the earpiece Brando used to get his lines was like just right there. So I liked looking for the earpiece.
I was looking for it. I couldn't see it.
Yeah. There's a few scenes where it's like a close up for some reason. Again, why would you show this? I loved his calculator punishment tool that was clearly just like a Casio calculator cut up and put onto a diamond necklace.
What is fucking surfer shells connecting the thing? What the hell?
Oh, the pain machine.
That he signals to his mini-me to get from the vault from him? Oh, man, it's just...
Classic. And I also liked some of the animal movement, specifically of the hyena swine. I thought he had really cool moments of switching between more like human type behavior and more animalistic stuff that he at least explored what could be done in that costume. Gripes, the title credits, the piano scene, the daughter, the forcing of she's such a beautiful Catwoman, I want to have sex with her. Just that whole romance they were trying to put up. And then character, place, and time continuity. Done.
Nice lightning.
Yeah, that was good. We also
great.
didn't talk at all about that opening scene where he first sees her and she's just randomly belly dancing on a bridge.
Poorly.
Well, she's a Catwoman. She doesn't know.
She doesn't have formal training in anything.
There's no YouTube on Moreau's Island.
Yeah.
True.
There's no makeup, so don't judge at her
And
amateur dancing.
And she's dancing like no one is watching. She doesn't know that he's like creepily stalking her.
She's so beautiful.
Wow,
that's it.
she's a pussycat. Streetcar. Actually, I kind of said my grapes. I got a couple likes. Just at the beginning, I love a steamy train station in any movie. I love a steamy train station.
Is that a sex act, Jack?
Oh, I love giving or receiving a steamy train station. Honestly, good on either side of it.
What is it? How do you do the steamy train station?
Look, we're trying to keep this.
You have to fill the bathtub, and no, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cooked pasta involved. I'll say some of the violence in Streetcar is actually pretty chilling. Because I imagine he probably just was hitting people. That's probably why. And then shout out to like some of the lines in it, like some of the dialogue really, really does still go like make me go wow. I love one of the few times I connected with Blanche is when she's feeling judged by Stella for losing the estate and all that kind of stuff. And she has these few couple lines where she's like, you only came home for the funerals. You never saw the deaths. Funerals are beautiful compared to deaths, or something like that. And I was like, ooh, those are great words. That's great. Some great writing. So stuff like that I did like, and that's it. That's my Streetcar.
I, like you, enjoyed the opening scene for the steamy station.
A steamy train station.
A steamy train station. The very like our intro to Blanche where she just like bursts through the cloud of smoke coming off the engine. It was really cool. I liked the soundscape of New Orleans and the kind of crescendoing sound effects in her head. I thought was really cool. I thought that they were really good at distinguishing her lighting from everyone else's lighting in the movie. Like even in scenes where she's lit, like they're in the same room, they find a way to light it so when they cut to her, she's like in a softer, dimmer light than everybody else in the room. I thought that was really effective. I didn't like that all the men in this movie are pieces of shit.
Yeah, it's rough.
1951, but yeah.
What's that?
1951, but yeah.
Well, like I was okay with Stanley being an asshole. I mean, he was like, I wasn't okay with his character, but like, fine. But it was when Mitch becomes abusive, I was like, oh man, I was on your side, dude. You're the one person. Well, you and Stella are like the people in this movie who you can actually get behind or like resonate with, and now you suck.
There are no good people in Tennessee Williams.
I like the line, poker should not be played in a house with women. I don't know why. It's ridiculous, but and I was perplexed by Blanche's age. That was it.
Nice. I'll take over. My like is Marlon Brando in this film is one of the sexiest things I have ever looked at. I like it. The lighting is phenomenal, start to finish. I think you mentioned that a bit, Daniel. And Brando's meat-eating skills, while also delivering the performance of a century, like, top-notch. Way to go. Gripes. I put down immediately Vivian so far, but I gotta remove that so far, I think, because oofty-goofty, this film went off the rails for her. Violent. Oh, she's like, I'm just an old maid. And Mitch responds with, well, you're certainly not an old maid. And the violin immediately is like, it just destroys the moment. And that's it.
You guys need to cut Vivian Lee a break, man. Her performance was
certainly.
Well, and definitely in line with a woman who is mentally unstable and has had to develop this
plantation,
this coy character to ensure that men fall for her and give her things because it's all she can rely on.
If that woman approached me and did that to me, I would ask if she needs directions, like help getting into a cab to the hospital.
Well, that's the point. That's why she ends up on Stella's doorstep, is because people turn on her for being a nutcase.
Yeah, but I think there's supposed to be some times where you buy it. I think properly done, when you first meet her, you're supposed to feel like, oh my God, this poor woman has been. I want her to be better at the thing that she's dangerous at doing.
Yeah, I guess.
Whereas
But
I wrote later on, I think I hate Blanche. I just.
Yeah, she's easy to hate, but there also has to be a reason why Stanley kind of is onto her from the beginning, right?
Yeah, but just like the information he gets could be suspect. You know,
Right.
It's just like, what do you mean the estate's gone? It's lost. What? You know what I mean? And she
Have you heard of the Napoleonic
The
Code?
Napoleonic Code. There's a something.
A man must take interest in his wife's affairs. I can't.
You're
Anyway.
speaking too clearly.
It's a little pesky.
Well,
Yeah.
that's Pesci. Please don't hurt me, Joe Pesci. That's Legs and Graves.
Legs and Graves.
Legs and Graves. Anyway, so that we're done talking about stuff. Let's get into our rating. And how this works is we got 5 categories. We got looks good, sounds good, acts good, story good, and rewatchability. That one goes down. Rewatchability. Like if you had to, which one would you put on again? In your life, next week, whenever, which one would you really consider like putting on just
Like-
before the other one?
Like you have a choice between getting your DNA fused with that of a bear pig, or choosing one of these movies to watch. What do you do, and which movie do you choose?
Air pig. 100%.
It's a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Yeah.
That's
Gotta
true.
take it.
That's true.
I used to kind of make a little tally ahead of time to get some thought. I've kind of stopped doing that. And so looks, sorry. So just, and before we move on entirely, so we have these 5 categories, and whichever movie wins the majority is the Citizen Kane of the week, blah, blah, blah. So looks though, whatever.
doesn't even
Nobody's
matter
listening.
anymore,
Nobody
yeah.
cares. So Streetcar Named Desire is cool. It has some nice, beautiful set design. Overall, the outdoor and indoor sets are pretty well realized. But part of me is drawn to the sheer audacity of what they tried to do with the island of Dr. Moreau and all the animal people and stuff like that. It has a uniqueness factor that
That it
for
does.
me, that is for me like just pulling that category up alongside of what is a really well realized movie, but like pretty like just a regular good design movie.
Yep.
So what are you voting for, Jack?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, y'all. Yeah. It's like
Jack, you always open with
refusal
that.
to
You
pick,
always
yeah. Make a pick. Make a pick right now.
pick right now. You have to choose.
I think I'm gonna remember more stuff from Moreau.
Agreed.
I'm gonna say Moreau in this weird, stupid way because Streetcar is it's very well designed and built. But
We have
There's-
full-sized lifelike imitations of crossbred animal-human species. It's insane and fully worthy of this point.
Just out of curiosity, when we did the Wrath episode, what did you guys vote for looks?
I don't remember.
I think I voted for Wrath.
Of the Titans?
Yeah, I think I made the
Okay.
argument that the looks weren't anything special in Grapes of Wrath. Sean, I think, was fighting that they told the story, and I said they weren't really. Like, it was the story that, like, if you just point the camera at the story is doing
typical
the heavy
Sean
lifting,
argument.
and not
Looks is the only one that got the point for Wrath. So
Oh,
it
there
looks
you
like
go.
it looks like we went for Wrath on that one.
Yeah.
I love that you have just like records of everything for this podcast. You are the keeper of the books.
Bookkeeper. Read from the tome. What were you going to say, Dad?
I don't know. I was kind of on the fence. I think you guys are probably right. I think that if I look back on this pairing in 2 or 3 weeks, I'll remember more from Moreau because it's so fucking batshit. But I mean, Streetcar is a gorgeous movie. Although there's maybe 2 or 3 shots in that entire movie that I still remember. But I remember most watching it and feeling like it's a very generic kind of Hollywood movie of the 50s. The lighting is gorgeous, but that was like the peak of butterfly lighting, like the Hollywood kind of overhead soft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Also, weirdly, most of the shots that focus on Blanche are in soft focus. And then whenever they pull away to like someone else being in the scene, it's a hard focus, and it was really disconcerting. I didn't understand what the artistic choice for that was, whether that was an actor request to only be shot in a soft focus on the close-ups or something, but it was really distracting.
Well, it's because the entire idea is that she purposely only is ever seen in situations where you can't fully see her face.
I understand that, but to incorporate that into the technical shooting of the film is a weird choice when you've already done it with the character lighting and her choice to like always be in the dark and always have like things over the lights. It was odd. I just thought it was odd.
No, but it's because she makes a point of never being seen.
Dan, shut up.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we're giving the point to Moreau.
All right, Moreau gets it.
And not to say that Streetcar doesn't have very memorable shots in it. Brando's look himself is memorable in this movie, as we talk. Goddamn. And yeah, but I don't know. There's just something uniquely special about the fever dream. That is kind of what it feels like. I finished this movie and immediately was like, did I just wake up from a nap? It's like some weird, it's a weird trip at Burning Man.
Well, seriously, part of it, like, I remembered how the movie made me feel, but it also felt like my brain was like frantically trying to get rid of it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So sounds. I mean.
Oh, speaking of sounds, my AirPods are about to die. Hold on, give me 1 second. You guys talk. I'm gonna get more headphones.
Cool. I'm very split on this one. I honestly did not enjoy the orchestration they wrote up to accompany Streetcar. I didn't think I understand that like jazz music they chose was because it's New Orleans and obviously that's such a rich musical history, but the pieces they chose didn't really elevate the text in any way, shape, or form, and were kind of intrusive. At the same time, I cannot remember a single thing other than the piano scene from Dr. Moreau.
And like the Offspring or whatever that plays, or the 9 Inch Nails as Val Kilmer comes down the elevator.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the kick-ass score at the beginning for that sweet intro credit sequence.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, my point goes to Streetcar.
Yeah, my point also goes to Streetcar. I think that Streetcar...
Yeah. Streetcar has orchestration.
Well, it just has a better integrated and creative soundscape. They have orchestration, but they also use sound
of like
effects.
The world and stuff.
Yeah. Totally. You always get the sense like you're in the world of New Orleans. When you need to be inside of Blanche's head, the soundscape really helps with that. I think they did a great job with sound. I think it's an easy point.
And just like minus points for Island of Dr. Moreau for daring to have a fucking scene of a handheld camera in the tall grass with someone breathing. Like
at what point was that? I forget.
Did you watch Blair Witch?
No,
accidentally?
Or Evil Dead? No, it's or a whole bunch of horror movies or Halloween. No, it's the moment when they just get there and Val Kilmer kills the rabbit, and it's that's the moment, right, that one of the animals sees someone kill, and you realize it was Lion Man or hyena or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? So minus point for that. So the point I think has to go to Streetcar.
Agreed. Acting. I mean, I think there's
Streetcar.
one clear winner. Yeah, it's Streetcar.
Streetcar has acting in it. And Island of Dr. Moreau is like it's like watching the opposite of, it's like watching inverse acting. It's somehow
Although weirdly, I was still totally captivated by Marlon Brando.
that's what I mean. It has it does it to you, but it does it in the opposite way. It's not because they're being compelling, it's because they're imploding as humans.
I also think there's something really compelling about watching Marlon Brando act because there's zero preparation. Everything he's doing is totally impulsive and in the moment. So that resonates, right? That reads as something. I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's cool to watch.
Yep. I mean, yeah, he did the same thing with The Godfather. He won.
And Apocalypse Now, I think.
Apocalypse Now, and he won Oscars for films where he didn't learn lines and he just showed up and spoke.
In The Godfather, didn't they just like pin his lines to the chest of his co-stars?
And
Yes.
Apocalypse Now. Wasn't it taped to Martin Sheen's fucking chest?
I think so.
Can you
And
imagine?
there are also other films where he used the earbud system as soon as that became like a technology small enough that you could have someone just offset, like speaking the lines you're supposed to speak into it. So
Imagine being the actor who has to stand there with Marlon Brando's lines taped to your chest.
talk to James Caan. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's kind of an easy point for Streetcar.
Oh, that's so funny.
Here's an interesting one. Story.
It is interesting. And I'm giving my big old pointy point to the island of Dr. Moreau.
Shut your whore mouth. Are you serious? Just
Yes,
that
sir.
easily?
Absolutely, man.
Explain yourself, Sean.
Yeah. Do explain a little bit.
I mean, part of it might be stemming from my just like complete lack of interest in theater at the moment. But like, Tennessee Williams drives me insane with his airy-fairy, artsy-fartsy, just like, we understand what you're driving at, and this poetry is very beautiful. But in the end, I kind of want to watch this movie. I kind of want to know about this story about a man who washes upon a terrifying island filled with human-animal hybrids and has to like somehow weasel his way out of this situation. That's suspenseful and thrilling to me.
Boo.
Dan,
I'm the opposite. I think.
Right.
I
we
mean,
switched places. Did we
I
Freaky
think so.
Friday?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
do
so.
Freaky Friday.
You know what? I agree that if we were going on premise alone, Dr. Moreau would have my vote. But the thing is that Dr. Moreau has an interesting premise and Streetcar has an interesting story. And I will take a layered, nuanced character drama over whatever you want to call Dr. Moreau.
A layered, nuanced
And
character drama.
Eat all the man, bear, pig shit. I think that, I mean, Dr. Moreau has a really solid 20 minutes and then just spirals into fucking nothingness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there's not much of the story beyond he happens on this island.
Sure.
With
I'd argue that like
human beasts.
Streetcar has a phenomenal opening and a phenomenal last two scenes, and then there's a lot of mumble fuckery throughout the middle parts.
Yeah, I mean, I like the whole kind
disagree.
of what I would call like the first act. I think up until his like Stella,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey Stella,
Yeah.
like everything up until that is quite good, and then it just like the whole when like Mitch becomes part of it, it's kind of like you just want to like watch, you just want to watch Marlon Brando in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sean. Like I want to give it. Part of me wants to give it to Moreau because
No, you do
Just
not.
Give it
because
to it. Just do
because
it.
of the premise.
Just do
I feel like you're drawn to it because it has a very like Jurassic Park vibe to it. Scientists
Yeah.
on an island creating new life. Like it's
That's not untrue.
you know, and we know how you're a slut for Jurassic Park.
Slut.
You might even
Yeah.
call him a Jurassic slut.
Ooh, I'll put that on my calling
Oh
card.
yeah, he would love a steamy train station from David Attenborough. So, because of the premise, like the premise is more interesting. Like it's more. I love a bold premise. I really do. end of the day, though, I gotta agree. I gotta side with Dan, though. I gotta say,
bitch.
one of them. Even though it's that funny thing, even though, as I said, I don't think this play translates to film very well. If I'm being honest, I think it works fine as a play.
Yeah.
I've seen it as a play and I've enjoyed it. I just don't. I think it actually needs more time. Like they cut off an hour at least from the stage show. It's a long play,
I was
and it
gonna
kind
say
of needs
less
it.
time. Like, give me an hour 45 version of this film, and then maybe we'll talk.
Agreed. I agree with you. It could shave some time off.
I mean, maybe, but anyway. It's just.
All right,
It doesn't matter.
Well,
It
it
doesn't
gets
matter.
and that seals its victory. But is it going to be a shellacking, or is it going to be
what?
Yeah,
We're at 3-1 for Streetcar.
Yep, 3-1.
Oh.
That just decided.
Oh shit! Hold. For some
Okay.
reason, my recording has stopped on GarageBand.
And your voice just dropped.
Yeah, you just got super low.
Did I?
Yeah,
Ooh. Okay. Well, let's
like
sort
just
that
now
out.
though.
Let's sort that out for 1 second.
Keep it.
It seems like it's. Oh wait, did like the octave thing is happening?
Yeah, you are
Yeah.
now used to me. You sound
No.
super low.
It's okay. We're at the end of the podcast.
What about now?
Nope, same.
On?
Oh,
Wait, go.
speak.
What about now?
Yeah,
We're fine.
perfect.
God damn it. All right. Well, I'm going to go back to recording now. That's where were we? Sorry, guys.
Do you know where it cut off?
It's okay. We have.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't-
also recording on this end.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah, of course.
I don't know. Figure it out.
Yeah, but I didn't actually. I thought that was going to tie it. I got lost track of where the points are.
Now it's 3-1 now. But now
Because for watchability, I'm totally giving this to Moreau.
Oh, Moreau any day
A
of the week.
million percent.
absolutely
100%.
I'm never watching Streetcar again unless it's a
No.
live version. Yeah,
But
I
there
mean,
is
I'm also
something-
likely never watching Moreau again either.
I don't know. I might
don't
watch
know,
this
I
again
might.
someday.
'Cause
Are you
I want to watch the documentary about it.
That
And
I do,
and
for sure.
might. Yeah, we should watch that together when
should.
as soon as we're allowed to be in the same room again. So damn. Well, I didn't really know. I lost track. I didn't know how
Were
strong
you
my
trying
vote
to
was there.
Were you trying to rig it for Moreau? Is that what's
No,
happening?
I wasn't trying to rig it. I didn't realize that
Are you a
was happening.
Democrat? Are you rigging shit?
I'm rigging shit. I'm trying to Nancy Ocasio-Cortez Perez Obama this
Tlaib.
thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, with I mean pretty narrowly, 3-2.
Surprisingly narrowly. I can't believe that it.
I'm surprising that it's narrow to you. You were like Streetcar every category.
Yeah, this is shocking.
No,
This
no.
is shocking behavior.
This is completely in line with my voting.
I think we need to re-listen to some episodes and
No, you're saying
talk about that.
I was saying Streetcar for every category. Eat shit. I was not. I said Moreau for looks
fair.
and Moreau for rewatchability. The 2 points that it got.
fair.
Suck it, Jack.
All right. I'll suck
So the Citizen Kane of the week goes to
Fucking Marles Bedarles, baby.
yeah, baby.
Marles Bedarles for the win.
In
Streetcar Named Desire.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
oh yeah, the clap. Oh, I dropped my book. Shit, hold on.
Well done.
Yay.
But honestly, if I were to recommend one of these movies, if you haven't seen these, go watch Moreau. It's a trip. It's a trip.
Yep.
So thanks so much. Next week, Shawnee Boy's picking the movies.
Here I am.
No.
I'll need your help with them because I have two
fine.
options.
Okay.
Two options. So we just did an actor theme week, and I did have movies that were also an actor theme week. Very much a male actor of this same kind of era. Also, I have a themed week that the movies are more modern, and it's not to do with the actor, it's more to do with like a theme that connects the two. So which are you more feeling, another actor week or maybe something that's more thematically related?
I'm for theme.
Can we know who the actor is without giving it away?
Sure, it's Sean Connery.
Ah.
I'm still for theme.
Theme?
Yeah.
I'll take theme this week as well.
Theme for 300, Alex. All right. So for theme.
Too soon, Sean.
Yeah.
Oh man, and Sean Connery. Oh,
Yeah.
both legends lost too soon. Well,
I mean,
Sean
they were
Connery
both
had a
pretty
good fucking-
old and-
Yeah, they were both goddamn old. Okay.
And Alex Trebek had cancer. Like it's
Yeah.
For a long time, I think.
Anywho, so it's we're going to the races next week, boys. Going to the races.
What kind? Horse races or NASCAR races?
or like
Well-
race wars.
Oh no!
American History X. No,
Oh, that'd be a good
we're
one.
going for the early '90s. I think Ridley Scott's brother directed. I think something Scott. Tom Cruise, Nicole Kidman, super feast called Days of Thunder, NASCAR related, and it's going up against the mid to late '90s super schlock fest, Stallone and Burt Reynolds, Driven.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you to know how unfamiliar I am with these movies. I couldn't be more unfamiliar with these
Honestly, I
movies,
don't
so
really like either of them, but I think they're going to be good films for this podcast.
That's exactly
have
what
you
I
seen
want.
both?
Oh yeah,
I've never heard of Driven. I have
It's
heard of Days of Thunder, but I've never seen it.
complete garbage,
Oh,
but is perfect.
Stallone did a lot of shit in the 80s, eh?
This is the '90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like aside from Rocky and Rambo, Stallone has just done hot garbage.
Over the top?
I have a couple of different ideas for pairings with Over the Top because I would love to revisit that gem.
Perfect.
Top Gun versus Over the Top or something like that?
That's where I thought you were going. I thought you were just going to go like competitive movies.
So
They had the word top in the title.
top.
That's all.
So I don't have
that makes sense too.
Yeah.
I don't have any Thanos teaser trailers for this, but I do have an adaptation to TV for one of them.
Okay.
So
It's
let me
for sure
introduce
Moreau.
you. Yeah, let me introduce you to the Disney Channel's new hit show, The Island of Dr. Moreau. Dr. Moreau is a 14-year-old super intelligent scientist who's trying to cross DNA between humans and animals to create just like fun adventure friends that he can patrol around the island with. And he's joined along with his like half cat best friend / sister maybe, and an elephant man that perhaps is kind of like the bodyguard for the island. It's a lot of hijinks. It's a lot of fun. Disney Plus, subscribe for The Island of Dr. Moreau.
And
I feel so used when you just try and like forcefully cue me to,
Do the drum thing, Jack.
to like end the podcast. I was like, oh, are we done?
sorry, it just felt so right. Did you have more you wanted to add?
I don't know. I don't think so, but
Okay.
I don't know why. I have a very vague and like pointless Thanos teaser, as I like them to be,
Of course you do.
which is that it's just the animal people are watching Moreau's estate burning down, and they're just standing around it. And the camera goes inside the house, like through the fire, and it goes to the desk where his Nobel Prize is, which has like a face on it. And the fire like catches like next to it, and it goes goes onto the Nobel Prize, and it like burns away the face from the Nobel Prize, and it reveals Thanos's face. Like, and
Sure.
that's it. And like that's the stupid Thanos teaser that makes no sense in this nonsensical movie.
I think in my version of Thanos for Dr. Moreau, as Douglas is kind of boating off to sea, he gets a cramp in his gut. and his arm starts to kind of swell and itch, and he starts to scratch off the skin from his forearm to reveal purple skin connecting to an infinity gauntlet, and he realizes that Moreau wasn't trying to take his DNA, he was trying to fuse his DNA with Thanos, making a super
Can it be accompanied
human.
by the line earlier in the movie echoing over top of him in his brain, where someone said he was trying to make animals into people, and in turn people into gods.
Oh, actually, yes.
And then he's like, and it's like, dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun, which is the Avengers music, but like, whatever.
Great.
And then he crushes a coconut.
Yeah.
That's it.
Citizen Kane versus.